It's midweek mini time, everybody. This is Wonderland on Points, sponsored by Yahoo Travel. And today we're talking about one of the most exciting things in the points and miles world, something that I love very, very much, and that is lounge access.
I love it very, very much too. Although I only just piggyback off of all of my friends' lounge access, but we recommend having a card that gives you your own. I'm doing so many trips this year that I'm starting to feel very empty inside that I cannot be taking advantage of lounges. So maybe I'll have to grab something before my next big trip. But we wanted to dive into all of this with you guys so you can understand which cards have the best lounge access for individual travelers, which ones have the best access for family travelers. There are lots of things to take into consideration. So why don't we set the stage for expectations, Mary Ellen?
Expectations are really important because the fanciness, okay, we go to lounge to feel a little fancy, right? A little bougie. Some lounges do feel like that and they feel, really fun and spectacular. But let's set expectations because some are a little bootleg, okay? Let's be honest. Some you get all excited that you're going to have lounge access, and then you get in there and you're like, oh.
Like, I always wanted some peanuts and a lukewarm coffee.
Yes. Was this what I was excited for? Okay. So there is a wide range of lounges. Not all lounges are created equal, but pretty much all of them have free food and drinks, and that is awesome no matter what. So we love that about lounges. You may find some basic things here. International lounges, generally a little nicer than most of the domestic priority pass lounges, the independent lounges, okay? Now, specific airlines and credit cards may have their own lounges, and those are generally a little nicer than the independent lounges. So international lounges and credit card and airline specific lounges are generally going to be a little nicer.
For sure. So you mentioned airline and bank specific lounges, so we'll get into that a little bit. Priority Pass is something that can give you access to all those independent lounges we were talking about. Meanwhile, we have these airline and bank specific lounges. Those might involve being a status holder, they might involve flying business class, or they might involve having a very specific credit card. Another thing we want you to be prepared for when we're setting the expectation scene is the wait times.
Yes.
Okay. It is. We have been let down together many a time at this point by wait times.
But let's be honest. We're the people that wouldn't be in otherwise. The reason there's wait times is because of all these credit cards that give you access, which is really exciting. The people who are truly like elite status holders, they're very annoyed by people like us who only get in because we have the right credit card. So we are the people that are somewhat causing the problem, but whatever, okay? The rules are the rules. We get in with the right credit card and we just, sometimes there are really long wait times.
Yeah, don't hate. But keep in mind that tight connections are not good times to make lounges unless they are truly like desolate and empty, which I have not seen in a long time. There are some cards that give you access that allow you to put your name on a waiting list right when you arrive.
Yes.
So if you can do that from the airplane, gives you a better shot at running in and grabbing a to-go option. We'll go through some of that, but having a couple cards with lounge access will give you options. And that will be a great play in case there is, a lounge that has a long line. Maybe there's one that doesn't. Maybe there's one in your terminal for this quick connection and you don't have to hike all the way across the airport to a different terminal. So giving yourself options is great if lounge access is important to you, and it can be such a good budget option for food specifically.
Yes. I don't remember, honestly, the last time I spent money in an airport on food, which is wild because airports food is expensive and now so expensive. Now that I have lounge access, there's just rarely a need. I mean, there are some airports, BWI being one. BWI does have the club, which is a very bootleg priority pass lounge, but it's only in one specific terminal. And so if I'm going to be in the other terminal, and you have to go out of security into security to access it. You can't just easily access it if you're leaving out of, say, the A or B terminal. So I do occasionally have to go to an airport that doesn't have a lounge, but this has been a game changer budget-wise for travel because I have truly saved a ton of money for myself and even my family by having lounge access.
Yeah, I do remember the last time I paid for food in an airport, and it was wildly pricey
You
because when
told
I
me
travel,
Juliet's food, right? It was
yes.
insane how
Yes,
much.
yeah, at Panda Express, I think it was like $29 or something like that. I talked about it on the podcast.
For
If
just
we
her
could,
meal, not
for
even
just her
you?
meal.
Oh
No,
my
I didn't eat
gosh.
anything. If we could have gotten into the Capital One Lounge, even buying her a day pass was $25. Much rather do that where you can sit
Yeah,
and fill up and take food to go and,
right.
like, oh my gosh, unbelievable.
All right, so let's get into first for the individual traveler. And here on this podcast, we have a ton of family listeners, and we're going to get into the best cards for families to access lounges. But first, if you are an individual traveler, you go a lot maybe on business trips, you just find yourself a lot in the airport, not traveling with anyone, you actually have a ton of options. Pretty much any of the
Hmm.
top tier elite travel cards are going to work for you, and they're going to come with some lounge access. Most of them come with access for a specific bank lounge plus Priority Pass membership. Now, Amex Platinum, they have great American Express lounges. Oh my gosh, fancy stuff, nice stuff. Capital One
Hmm.
lounges. Everybody is loving the Capital One lounges, and the lounge network is growing. Chase Sapphire lounges, people, they are getting such good feedback, and Chase is really growing the footprint of those lounges, more and more popping up. City Strata Elite City, to my knowledge, now I guess I should have researched this a little more, doesn't have any specific lounges, but they give you Priority Pass lounge access. So the Capital One lounges are going to be high on my personal list to be able to get into Capital One lounges.
Hmm.
And then probably, I don't know, that Chase Sapphire sounds pretty nice too. I don't have the reserve card. Joe and I both only have Chase Sapphire Preferred. We do not have the reserve card, so we don't really access the Chase Sapphire lounges, but everything I have seen, the video and pictures from those lounges are top notch.
Yeah, they look so special. I would like to try one someday, and I think we both will get this card eventually. It's
Oh,
just kind
yeah.
of down the
Yeah.
pipeline for us because that annual fee is something. I also want to throw out a good, I think, card option for solo travelers. Could also work for family travelers. The Built Palladium card does come with Priority Pass. So that's not one we mentioned, but that is one that I personally was considering getting as my next card, lounge access being one of the reasons why.
Now, it's important to note as we transition to family travelers that all Priority Pass memberships are not the same. So when we say that
Hmm.
the Palladium card comes with Priority Pass membership or Amex Platinum comes with Priority Pass, that is different than the Priority Pass membership that the City Strata Elite or Chase Sapphire Reserve get you. And it's very important to pay
Hmm.
attention to the details if you are traveling with a spouse or with children that you want to get into a lounge. So, family travelers, this is your moment. Here is what you need if you want your family in a lounge. Both the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the City Strata Elite give you a Priority Pass membership that includes 2 guests. This is
Yeah.
huge, okay?
And the Built Palladium.
And the Bill
It's the
Palladium.
select
I have
membership.
kind of written off the Built Palladium at the moment. I really liked it, and then I don't come back around to me. I keep forgetting about Built over there. They're a little cray cray, but it
They did
does.
some stuff, but people are enjoying the card,
Now
I've
that the
heard.
dust
So
is
just wanted
settling,
to add
people
it
are
to the
enjoying it.
list.
Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
so my family went the City Strata Elite route because ultimately that's my favorite of these cards at the moment. It has a lower annual fee than the Chase Sapphire Reserve. That's one point in its favor. I really like the credits on the City Strata Elite. And both myself
Hmm.
and my husband have one. So I can get in 2 of our kids as guests. He can get in 2 of our kids to guest for Priority Pass lounges. City Strata Elite also comes with 4 American Airlines Admirals Club visits a year. So between my husband and I, who both have the City Strata Elite cards, we have 8 American Airlines Admirals Club visits. Each of those visits allows for 1 adult and up to 3 kids under 18 with that adult. So if I'm traveling just with my 3 kids, I could get all of us into the Admirals Club with just 1 pass. So if you're a family of 5 or 6 kids, we love big families on this podcast, when, maybe you only need to use 2 passes to get the whole family in, that's a huge
Hmm.
benefit. And there are Admirals Clubs all over the place. It's a great, we're kind of big in American Airlines right now at my family, flying out of Philly this summer. I'm really excited to visit the AA Admirals Club there. So City Strata Elite made a lot of sense for me. If you're in Charlotte, I could see how that can make sense because that's a big AA hub. Somewhere else,
Hmm.
it's the AA hub. Don't forget about that. So even though City isn't going to let you into a branded city lounge like Chase has, like Amex has, like Capital One has, they do give you that AA Admirals Club benefit. So
Yeah.
both Priority Pass and AA lounges you could get into with that card.
Yeah, you were kind enough to use one of your passes on me when we were in Dallas recently, and that was a really nice club. The food was good. It was more than some of the places we've been. Less than it was no Capital One Lounge, but it
Yeah,
was
it was
nice.
mid. It was mid. It was big. It had a lot of seating, which was huge.
So that's such a game changer.
Yes, yes. And we didn't have to wait. So we
Yeah.
tried to go to other lounges with the priority
Yes.
pass. I knew that there was no hope of us getting in the Capital One lounge because our layover was just too short. But thankfully, there were options. There's so many options in Dallas that we were able to get into the AA lounge right away.
Isn't it funny how at some point in my journey I have come to the conclusion that if I'm traveling with someone that has lounge access, I want longer layovers?
Yes, I know.
It's weird. I'm like, oh, 2 hours. We need something longer so we
I
can
know.
spend some time eating some free food.
That is one of the most fun things about travel days. And I've been really bummed lately that I'm like, wait, I didn't get enough airport time to really
Yes.
enjoy. I wanted to lounge hop a little bit. I want to go in more than one lounge.
For sure. Okay, let's talk Chase Sapphire lounges. So, in favor of the Chase Sapphire Reserve card are the Chase Sapphire lounges, and these are excellent choices if you live or fly often through Boston, LaGuardia, JFK, Philly, Phoenix, San Diego, or Las Vegas. You should definitely consider having this card if you live one of those places because these lounges are notoriously amazing. Plus, you have access for the card holder and 2 guests. And a fun little extra for families is that guests under 2 is free. So if you have 3 kids and one of them is still a little baby, you could get your whole family in. But even if you don't, it's only $27 for
That's
the
really
pass
good.
for a guest. That is so reasonable considering what I just told you about one meal at Panda Express. I mean, unbelievable. I would much rather get my whole group in and have to pay for one person for $27 and everybody's able to eat their fill and relax in that nice environment. It really is worth it. That's a great way to justify that annual fee if you're going to be at those airports with those lounges all the time. One of the main reasons that I haven't justified any of these is my location in a lounge desert. If I lived
Aw.
somewhere with a lounge, I would have gotten a lounge access card a long time ago. But it's like so often I wouldn't even have an opportunity to take advantage of any of these.
Yeah, it's tough. If you're like, we prioritize direct flights if we can. We don't try to have connections unless we have to, because that always causes more
Mhm.
problems, right? So if your home airport itself doesn't have a great lounge, then, maybe this isn't what you prioritize, but it is fun and it is awesome when it works
Mhm.
out. And if you're a little bit spoiled like me, living in the DC area, I have 3 main airports, right? So if you're in this area of the country or you fly out of New York City a bunch or any of these places that have tons of lounges, it is 100% worth it. You save so much money not buying airport food. We will mention Capital One, Venture X, and Amex Platinum. They're a little less family friendly. They do have avenues for you to get more lounge access, but you really need to spend about $75K a year on the cards to unlock more guest access. So most of us, many of us budget travelers, but we're not big spenders. We're not going to put $75K on one of those cards every single year. We're earning different sign up bonuses, welcome offers. So it doesn't really make sense if you're a super budget traveler. But if you have the money to spend, that is also an option.
It is an option. And Capital One does have that nice option for the day passes. Now, I would never consider this if you had a short layover, obviously. But if I had many hours to spend in an airport, I would pay $45 to spend it in a Capital One lounge for a long period of time. And it's pretty easy for me to imagine spending 25 for an 18 and under. So if you are a mom with a teen that's doing a lot of traveling, just you and one child, and you have the Venture X with the lounge access, and then you're paying 25 for a kid, I can see that being worth it for some people, especially
Yeah.
if you're going to be spending any money on food at all in the airport. It adds
Let
up
me
in
go
5
ahead
seconds.
and say this about the Capital One lounges, though. I love them. Let me say right off the bat, I love them. However, especially if you're traveling with young children or people like me who have the palate of a young child, the food is top notch, okay? Top notch. But how many kids love top notch fancy food at a fancy restaurant? Not as many. Now they have cookies that are great. You can get free drinks. You can find something, but a lot of the food is actually a little on the fancy side. And so I almost need it to be a level lower for my own taste.
I like the fancy food, but you're right. I don't know. I guess I'd have to. My child would be eating a lot of to-go sandwiches. She likes some fancier stuff.
I've
I'm sure
taken
she
my
could find
kids in
something.
Capital One lounges before they changed their rules and limited the guest access. My kids went several times and they enjoyed it. They found things to eat, but the main buffet of dishes was really not it for them because it was a little too fancy.
Yep, understandable. Guys, I hope we've given you a place to start with understanding lounge access and its benefits and the way that it offsets annual fees and the reason you should consider pursuing it depending on where you live and where you travel. We do have links for a lot of these cards that we mentioned. So if there's something in this list that you are interested in, please give us a shout. We would be happy to send that to you. I will put a link to our favorite travel cards in the show notes so you can easily find that page if you want to navigate to it yourself. And feel free to reach out to us with any questions. It looks like Mary Ellen's internet has done something strange, which means this YouTube video is ending with me all by myself. So we will see you here for next week's episode, and we are so happy that you are joining us here today.